This is the biggest lie music producers believe in right now in 2025, man. And it's been going on for a while, way before 2025. And as a matter of fact, I used to believe in this lie too until I smartened up and started to really understand what this game is about. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into it. We're not even gonna waste no time. That big lie, the biggest lie that you most likely believe as a music producer right now, is that you need a major placement in order to be a successful music producer. You think that you need to be validated, right, by a major artist or a major label in order to become or to be a successful music producer. And as a matter of fact, we're gonna break down why that's a big lie. I know a bunch of producers who have major placements right now that aren't even making any money from them. They made the upfront money, the cost of the track or whatever. But when it comes to royalties, streaming royalties, come on. That money has already been split so much because there's writers, there's other, if they're a co-producer, there's a co-producer, whoever else is involved. And on top of that, man, you have to understand that like streaming is only paying a fraction of a penny. So you're only making a fraction of a penny once you make that placement. You're still going to be chasing your next placement after that. So it's not really about that. If you want to be a successful music producer, and to me, a successful music producer is a producer who has achieved being able to live off their music full time. You don't even have to worry about chasing a check. You have your own business, your own music business off the ground. That is a successful music producer to me. So, but I used to think that, hey, I needed this major artist to hop on my joint in order for me to be an official music producer. Back in the day in the record business, that was necessary. But these days with the internet and being able to do other things within the music business, what do I want to say? The music business period, you could become a successful music producer overnight. My first success did come from television film placements, but that's not what made me be able to live off of my music. What allowed me to live off of my music was my own drum sound company. The placements I got were before that. So that was my first way into the game as far as like becoming quote unquote an official music producer, right? I got my music placed on TMZ, Extra, Millionaire Matchmaker, George Lopez Show, Tyra Show, The Rap Game, more recently with Jermaine Dupri. And there's a lot of other shows, probably over, I know for sure, over 1,000 placements in television. I got my music on over 1,000 episodes. So that was great, but it didn't make me enough to where I could live off of my music. I know that sounds crazy, right? After 1,000 placements. And it was had a lot to do with a few things: structure of my actual deal, being a co-producer, it was different variables I'll go into in another video. What I want to focus on right here though is that you need placements to be a successful music producer. Even if I didn't get those placements, I was still able to live off my music by creating my own sound design company, right? And still to this day, that's been my main focus, even before the beats now, because that's what helped me to achieve my goal. That's what helped me. And not only did it bless me with financial freedom, but it did allow me to give back as a music producer with what I love. I love creating sounds just like I love creating beats. So first I had a beat site and I made money off of that, and I still do make money off of my beat site. That's another aspect of my music production business. But sound design has been my bread and butter because that's what I spent a lot of time on as well with branding myself. It started off as, okay, let me give some free drum kits out to the music producer community, because I used to do that to my homies, right? I used to, my homies with my producer circle back home, they would be like, yo, I need some drums. So I send them some drums, or I pull up on them and give them my smart media card, which I was using on the Motif back then. I used to bring them some drum kits I sampled, right? I sampled from Dr. Dre, Battle Cat, DJ Quick, High Tech, all of them cats. And I would stack them. I would stack the drums to start creating my own too. So it had even got to a point where every new beat I started, I created a new sound out of it. I didn't want to go back to my old sounds. And then when I created my first drum kit, all I really did was go back to all of the beats I created those sounds in, and I bounced them down and put them into a kit. And I created new ones too at that time because I was excited. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna release an official drum kit. So I put it out and people loved it. And because I got that response, it made me feel successful. I'm like, yo, I'm doing something right. I could do this forever because I could create sounds out of thin air. I felt like Einstein, man. So saying all that to say that my path has been different. Like I said, I was probably one of the first, if not the first producer to have a branded drum kit named after myself. I'm not saying I'm the first producer to put drum kits out. No, there's a couple of websites that producers were behind that they did it, you know, before me. But as far as like officially launching my drum kit, like Dr. Dre did his headphones, I treated my drum sounds like that. I was like, you know what? This is my business. I'm going into business and it's going to be drum kits. So anyway, that's what brought me into becoming a successful music producer. I've made 6 figures, and over that, if we're talking about the whole 16 years that I've been doing, well, 15 years since my official launch of my trauma drum company with the trauma drum library kit was June 18th of 2010. So now, as of the date of this video, we're on June 29th, 2025. So it's been almost exactly just a little over 15 years. And so that is what showed me that in the television placements too, because the television placements helped me understand how publishing worked. I got a lot of knowledge from that, and how much money you could really make if you focus there. But because I was so caught up in my sound design, I shifted my focus mainly on that because that was something I could control. The thing about placements is you don't control whether your music is accepted or not, especially if you're going through a situation to where maybe you're co-producing. If you send your beat to the co-producer may not like that beat, so it never makes it to the company. And then if you're dealing with a publishing company, you might send the beat to the publishing company and they like it, but they never pitch it to the music supervisor because they don't feel like it's right for that project. Well, who knows? What if it was in your hands and you did it directly? Then you have more control. But that's a higher level of the game when you're dealing with music publishing or placing sync placements, because you're not going through just music libraries and music publishers. You have to go through that though, so that you understand the game. But with my drum kits, I went directly to consumer. I didn't have to worry about anyone accepting anything. If the producers loved my kits, they were going to cop my kits. I knew that if I put my heart and soul into these sounds, that they were going to come out great. And if I could use them and make dope beats with them, I know other producers can as well. So that's what helped me understand what a successful music producer really is. And you have to understand that it's really about what you believe in, and it's not chasing a major placement, man. The music game has changed so much. Like back in the day, producers were making $100,000, $200,000 a track. Even an up and coming producer could make $10,000, $15,000. I know professional producers who went from $100,000 or more a track. Now they're at $10,000, $15,000. And for that type of name behind it, you're like, damn, man, what happened? What happened was the whole business model of how music is being sold has changed. The streaming platforms have cheapened the value of the music. Now you're getting paid a fraction of the penny, so the artist has to look at their budget and do what they feel is best. So they may only give you a couple of grand because they need to spend the rest on marketing to make that fraction of a cent work for them, especially if they got managers and A&Rs and everybody else hand in their pot. Then your kind of producer falls to the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to that, because they're looking at it as a hustle and a business, I guess you could say, and they're trying to get the most bang for their buck. So if you're trying to get a major placement, you're hustling backwards. it's because that artist, when they don't see the same value you do in your production anymore, because they know that when they put that song out, they're only making fractions of a penny. Now, if it were actual physical albums being sold, then they were at least making $1 off of that album. So they knew that if they sold 1 million copies, they were going to make $1 million. So they can afford to put $200,000 into a production budget. But now it's not like that. Unless you're dealing with an artist who's going straight to consumer and they're successful that way. A lot of these artists that are signed to labels, even independent labels, are just depending on these DSPs to pay them their income. You've heard Snoop talk about having billions of streams and only making a few grand for a song that would have made multiple millions back in the day. So the game has changed, and if you're not going with it and changing with it and finding your place in the music business, then you're going to fall under that lie. You're going to be under that spell that you need a major placement to make it. Like I said, I even know producers right now that give beats free to major artists, and in that the music gets placed, but they're still not able to make a successful income off of their music. You gotta find your place, man. It's not, if everyone's trying to go through that same door, so it gets jam-packed. And then when you got artists that have all these different producers sending them tracks, they get the pick of the litter. They get to say, you know what, this producer's beat is dope, but he's charging $5,000. But there's another producer over here charging $500. I'm gonna go with him just cause I can. I got 1,000 producers in my DMs right now trying to give me beats. I'm gonna go with the best deal. So don't focus on trying to get a major placement. We're in the age of personal branding right now. So you work on you as a personal brand, as a music producer, and you can get all kind of branding deals because you became a brand within yourself. You're going to attract the artists that you want to work with. The major artists will come and pay you more because now you've built a valuable brand and a valuable foundation that they could see and that they could benefit from, because that's what it's really about, leverage. If you grew a personal brand to the point where you have thousands of producers or artists on your email list, thousands of fans on your email list, we're not talking about Spotify listeners because you don't own that data. There's no way you could reach out to 60,000 listeners because you don't have their emails, you don't have their phone numbers. But when you own your personal brand and you have a website and you're collecting emails, you could bring everybody off of that list from Spotify if you put an ad in your song, right? Most artists aren't thinking like that. Or if you bring your artists from Instagram, your fans from Instagram, and from Facebook and YouTube onto your data, so that you own that data, whether it's their email address or phone number. Now you have leverage. There's YouTubers right now that are music producers that are getting brand deals because they're putting in the work and they're building their personal brand. Now you got major brands like Focusrite, Akai, Moog wanting to align themselves and put their product in front of that producer's demographic, in front of that producer's fan base, because they know that it'll help their product sell. So anyway, the biggest lie is that you need a major placement as a music producer, but you don't. You need to place yourself in a great position to have a personal brand that attracts the buyers, the listeners, the fans that you want. That's what it's really about. So anyway, I'm going to end the video off on that note. I hope you got a lot of gems and gain from it. Make sure you drop your comments, leave a like and subscribe. Help me push this video out, help the algorithm push it out to more producers who need information like this. Also, check out this video right here where I show you how I remade Still Dre from Dr. Dre, the Chronic 2001 album, one of my favorite joints. I'm gonna show you every instrument, every plugin I used in it, how I got the drums to slap, all of that, okay? Check it out right here.